Yo, what is good, everybody? I'm your boy Jajiro, and this is my leveling build for Barbarian in Season 7 of Diablo 4. So let's get right into it and talk about those primary aspects. As for the primary aspects, we're simply going the aspect of the earthquakes. And we're putting the aspect of the earthquakes on our necklace piece, and this will allow Stomp to create an earthquake. And our earthquakes get a damage multiplier. Now, I found that Barbarian was suffering from getting resource regeneration in our Fury department, so I went and doubled up on that, and I put 2 resource regeneration aspects on our 2 rings. For our first ring, we went the aspect of the Umbral. So every time that we crowd control the enemy, we restore our primary resource. And then I went the aspect of vocalized empowerment, so that every time that our shouts are active, we regenerate Fury. Now moving down to why we have Upheaval on our first slashing 2-handed weapon, we have the aspect of the Sundered Ground. This will allow Upheaval to get a natural overpower, and it also increases the damage we deal with Upheaval. Next, moving over to our 2-handed bludgeoning weapon, we went the aspect of Incendiary Fissures. This will give our earthquakes another damage multiplier, and the damage is converted into fire damage. Moving over to our 2 one-handed weapons here, they're both swords, but that doesn't matter. As for the first aspect, we went the Executioner's aspect. This will allow our overpower procs to create earthquakes. And then it also gets another damage multiplier based on our strength. And then for our second sword, we went the Earthstriker's aspect. Now swapping between our basic attack and Upheaval will allow us to get an overpower proc. And we'll get a damage multiplier to our overpower damage. Now those are all the main aspects that really make this build come together. Let's go over those flex aspects next. In our helmet, we went the aspect of Disobedience simply to give us armor. This is a no-brainer. This will give us damage reduction. Then in the chest piece, we went the aspect of Concussive Strikes. Simply by dazing our enemies, we get another damage multiplier. And then on our pants, we went the Steadfast Berserker's aspect. This will allow us to gain Fortify while we're berserking. And we will be berserking, and Fortify gives us damage reduction. And then finally for our boots, we went the Relentless Berserker's aspect. This will allow us to extend the duration of our berserking when we deal damage with our core ability, Upheaval. And that duration is doubled when we critically strike. Alright guys, so that does it for all the main or primary aspects and the flex aspects. Let's talk about the primary skills next. Our first primary ability, of course, is Upheaval. This is our core ability. And we're going the version of Upheaval that gives us a stacking damage multiplier. As for a basic attack, we simply just went Frenzy. This will increase our attack speed, and it'll also reduce the cost of our core skills. Next, we went Wrath of the Berserker. And Wrath of the Berserker will give us that berserking proc. It'll also give us that movement speed and increase Fury regeneration. Then we went Warcry. This will grant us berserking as well, and it'll also increase the damage we deal with a damage multiplier. And then we went Rallying Cry. This will be another way to get an unstoppable proc and get resource regeneration. And then finally, we went good old Ground Stomp. Now what's awesome about Stomp is that it creates earthquakes. It comes off a relatively short cooldown. Now there's ways to make it shorter, but I want to make this build as simple as possible. But we went the version of Ground Stomp that reduces the cooldown of our ultimate ability. Now I want to give you guys a little bit of a rotation demonstration next. Now how the rotation goes is you can walk up and simply just drop Stomp to get that earthquake going. And you can just start chucking your Upheaval, because every time we chuck Upheaval, we have the chance to also create another earthquake. That's why we went those overpower procs when switching between our weapons, is simply we just want to keep creating earthquakes on the ground, and Upheaval gives us the ability to do so as well. And whenever Stomp's back up, we just cast it again. And then we switch between Frenzy and Upheaval. And if we're ever fighting a boss, we can pop Wrath of the Berserker and keep going. But majority of the damage comes from Earthquake and Upheaval. But that was a brief demonstration of the rotation. Let's go over those passive skills next. But if you guys want to skip all that noise before we go over the passive skills, you could also head over to Mobalytics, and I got the build there for you. And I've got everything here from the aspects, the main abilities, also to the skill tree. We have the leveling path, and you can see how I invested every skill point all the way from levels 1 to 60. So what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments for you guys to go click on if you want to see this build there. But here we are at the skill tree. You guys can pause it if you want to see how I invested into the primary skills. But as for the passive skills, we're going to start off with Warpath. This will increase the damage we deal after overpowering. And we will be overpowering. Moving down, we have Imposing Presence. This increases our maximum life. Now this one's quite important. It's called Booming Voice. This will extend the duration of our shouts. And while our shouts are going, we're regenerating Fury. Then I dropped 1 into Aggressive Resistance, but I really wanted Prolific Fury. This will increase the generation of our Fury while berserking. Moving down again, we have Pit Fighter. This increases our damage to close enemies, and we gain damage reduction. Then we have No Mercy here. We get increased critical strike chance. And then I also went Slaying Strike so that we deal increased damage to injured and healthy enemies. Moving down, we went thick skin so that each time that we take direct damage, we get maximum life as fortify. Now, as for defensive stance, while we're fortified, we gain an additional 6% damage reduction, and we heal for 1.5% of our maximum life every second. And then we go counter offensive so that while we have fortify over 50% of our maximum life, we deal increased damage, another damage multiplier. Now we went a bunch of passive skills here, so let's start off with heavy hitter. This is simply just to increase the damage we deal with our earthquakes. And then moving down, we have furious impulse, so that each time we swap our weapons between our basic and our core ability, we gain fury. And then we went invigorating fury so that we heal for 9% of our maximum life for every 100 fury we spend. Moving over to the right, we went heavy-handed, so while we're using two-handed weapons, we deal increased critical strike damage. And then we went brute force so that when we overpower, we deal increased damage when we're using a two-handed weapon. And as for the final passive skill before our key passive, we went wallop. This will give us a damage multiplier with our bludgeoning weapons when the enemy is stunned or vulnerable. And then finally for our key passive, you can either go Unbridled Rage or you can simply go Unconstrained. I simply went Unbridled Rage because when we get that overpower proc with Upheaval, it's huge. It almost executes the enemy. However, Unconstrained is a very run-of-the-mill, very generic, good key passive. With Unconstrained, we get a damage multiplier and damage reduction. So the choice is yours, but those are the two I recommend. So that does it for all the passive skills and the key passive. Let's move over to the Paragon board next. As for the Paragon boards, again, guys, just get all the rare nodes on this page. And as for the glyph, I went Martial. This will give our non-shout ability, so anything that isn't a shout, cool down when we use our shouts. So this will help our Berserker's Wrath and our Stomp come off a cooldown a lot quicker. But this early in the game, you can go whatever you like, but I just thought this was cool. And again, all my builds are the ruler cool. I'm simply just playing Diablo 4 to have fun, and I want these builds to be fun for whoever wants to enjoy it. Well, that does it for the Paragon board. Let's move over to the Barbarian expertise next. As for our expertise, you could either go two-handed mace or you can go two-handed axe. I simply just like having that fury on demand, but if you go the two-handed axe, you get a damage multiplier to vulnerable enemies. So that's just for the Barbarian expertise. That was real quick. Let's go over those gems next. So as for the gems, I'm simply going the gems that we get throughout the game. There are Eldritch gems that you can craft later in the game, but those aren't applicable to much later in the other torments. And again, like I always say, just try and fix your resistances. As you can see, mine are a little bit off, but it's not too bad. Just simply go whatever gem fixes the resistance you need help with the most. And if you need any extra help with the resistances, you could also put Topaz in your armor piece. Intelligence increases the resistance you get to all elements. As for the weapons, I simply just want overpowered damage on deck. So I put rubies in both of my two-handed weapons. And I also wanted some critical strike damage, so I put emeralds in my two one-handed weapons. Now this is where I like to talk about tempering. I like to mix gems and tempering into one segment. Now the only temperings that you want to at least get on at least two of your weapons is Earthquakes can cast twice once they're cast. And also Upheaval does double damage. Now the only thing we want to temper onto our armor is either some sort of resistance or if we need armor. Anything to fix that kind of damage reduction is what we want to temper onto our armor. But again, the only ones I recommend you actually aim for are the Earthquakes can cast twice and Upheaval deals double damage. So that does it for all the tempering and the gems, but this next part only applies to people that have Vessel of Hatred. As for the next segment, we're going to go over RUNEWORDS and Mercenaries. I kept saying RUNEWORDS in my lase video. It was so funny. On our helmet, we're going Chem and Tech. This will allow us to cast Earthquake every time we evade. And with this particular build, that is huge. So it's unfortunate that people that don't have Vessel of Hatred don't get to use this ability. Now, these two RUNEWORDS aren't so important. We're going Yaks and Lum. Every time we drink a potion, we get primary resource back. But that does it for all the RUNEWORDS. Let's move over to the Mercenaries next. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I always say this, guys, go whatever mercenary you want. And that's simply because you want to upgrade and establish rapport with them. As you can see here, I just finished getting all the rapport with Varanya. So now I'm currently trying to level up Rahir. However, what I like about Varanya is she gives us an attack speed bonus. And with Rahir, every time we use Upheaval, we get Fortify, which is pretty sweet. But the real advice is go whatever mercenary you like because you're just leveling up from 1 to 60. So that's it for the RUNEWORDS and the Mercenaries. Let's move over to the Witch Powers next. Now, I said before, I'll say it again, Doomorb, Doomorb, Doomorb all day. Go Doomorb. Now, as for the smaller Witch Powers, I went Force of Will. This has an Overpower proc, so it's pretty cool. I just thought it kind of played well with the build. One of my favorites, Aura of Siphoning. This will allow us to sustain in the fight. It deals damage and it gives us life back. Shaken Soul is our way to apply vulnerable to enemies. That's why I went Shaken Soul. Now I also went Wave of Woe. This is just another way to deal damage. I thought it was cool. I definitely want to play around with the other powers, but I'm sticking with Wave of Woe for now. And then we have good old Fire Bat Servants as our last Witch Power. I just love the damage it deals at such a low levels, and I'll start leveling these actual witch powers up once I stop doing my build guides. But yeah, that's it for witch powers. I'm going to give you guys the best ways to level up real quick in Season 7 next. All right, how to level up quick. Some quick housekeeping here. Go to the wardrobe, equip your pet. This pet will pick up everything that you don't want to pick up. It'll help your leveling experience go way smoother. Next, on your character sheet, go over to your consumables. Don't forget to consume your elixirs. Your elixirs give you passive experience gains. And then finally, as for the seasonal journey, I'm progressing through this. Go the Urn of Aggression with your Smoldering Ashes. This also gives you a passive experience gain. And then once you're done filling up the Urn of Aggression, go over to the Urn of Rot. The Urn of Rot will increase the Restless Rot that's dropped while you're doing your headhunting. And Restless Rot is used to upgrade those witch powers. Now, as for the best way to level up, you guys know what I'm going to say here. It's headhunting. This is the best way to level up, get gear, everything. Now, you can also do root holds. That was a really good way to level up and get really good gear. But I think they ninja nerfed it in the night. I don't know what happened, but I was getting hella greater affix items until about yesterday. And then today when I was going through the root holds, they're not dropping as much greater affix items anymore. However, headhunting is the best way to level up and get experience and get loot in the game right now. And there's certain objectives on this map when you're questing that I suggest you do, and some I suggest you don't. As for the dues, I always suggest you do Fugitive. This gives you 5 Grim Favor. Again, there's 4 maps up at any given time, so that means you get 20 Grim Favor, which is 2 caches that you can hand in, and that's mad experience. So what I suggest you do is go to every city that's open on the map that has headhunting going down, and just simply do the Fugitive. My second favorite to do is Scour, simply because you get those herbs to make those elixirs. And it's really not hard to do. They're usually bunched up, so you can collect them quite quickly. And last but not least, my favorite to do is Shepherd. We simply have these pets roaming around the map, and we have to escort them back to the tree. It's very easy to do, and it's a quick 3 Grim Favor. Now, the ones I recommend you don't do are Wisp for 3 Grim Favor. If it was 5, maybe I'd do it, but simply you have to follow this Wisp NPC around. And then you have to wait for it to summon enemies, and that takes quite a while, and it's really a boring experience. I don't recommend it. And then there's Patrol. This one isn't too bad. This is hit or miss. Sometimes you're on a pathway where you can murk 120 enemies and then you get the Grim Favor for it. But most times she's running away from the enemies and you have to follow her. Another time-gated scenario. So that does it for my level up quick tips for Season 7. Let's go over a pit demonstration next. All right, guys, here we are in the pit. It's a tier 20. It's to get into Torment 1. I'm just trying to show you guys the experience that you're going to have with the build at the same level while you're leveling. Now, I had some people in the comments last time say, can this build push into Torment 4? I'm going to show you guys something after this pit that will show you that I'm working and progressing towards the endgame version of this build. So to answer the question, yes, this can probably push into World Tier 4, but only once I start working on the armor and getting those greater affix items. But other than that, man, this build is pretty sweet. You just kind of walk up, stomp. You're getting the Earthquakes proccing also when you evade with the RUNEWORDS. So yeah, I'm having a whole lot of fun. And when that Upheaval procs too, you know, you don't even notice it, but the enemies are really melting to those Earthquakes. And that Upheaval is like a hit or miss. But when it hits, let's just say it doesn't miss. But yeah, this build's a whole lot of fun, man. You're going to absolutely blast through your Torment 1 hit run. But I'm having a lot of fun playing the game. I will make more endgame builds when I get the chance, of course. I just want to get through the leveling up builds first. Oh, we had a little glitch there. I just want to get through the leveling experience first. And once I get through that, I can make some endgame guides for you guys. I'm really excited to see what the Druid has to offer. Now, I know there's been some hot fixes in the game as well. They're kind of nerfing Cataclysm and such. I know there's some pretty wild builds out there right now, but my builds I really want to design in terms of fun. I've been having fun playing Diablo 4 again lately. Again, I play PoE 2 as well, but I'm having fun playing Season 7 Diablo 4. So I thought if I could help people with you know, leveling up quick and getting some builds out there for everyone, I thought that'd be a cool idea. And I really hope you guys enjoy these guides. And if you do, please let me know. Also, let me know whether it's positive or positive or negative criticism. Let me know down in the comments, man, what you guys think. I definitely always want to improve my guides and make sure they're more fluid for you. So I'm always open for suggestions. But yeah. But at the end of the day, I really appreciate you guys for coming through and watching anyways and sharing your thoughts with me, man. It really helps. But yeah. Like I said, I like to game and talk. I try to. I'm actually gaming right now. Like, this isn't just me doing a voiceover, obviously. But yeah, let's talk more about the rotation here. Well, I mean, it's almost over, but as you can see, just doing Frenzy, then dropping Upheaval. Warcry. Stomp. Walk away. Earthquake will melt them. Berserker's Wrath for no reason. And we're on the boss fight. All right, here we are. The boss. Let's see how fast we melt. Cool. Did you see that upheaval? Just one shot. One shot. All right, that was a tier 20 pit for Torment 1. I want to show you guys what I'm working on for an endgame version of this build. So in the armory, which is a dope feature, I'm so happy that I added this, I have a build in the works. It's essentially the same aspects, but I am working on those GA items, and I was able to push into Torment 3 so far. Not to mention, I got some cool uniques. I think this ugly bastard helm is awesome. I think it's going to be dope while we're berserking, and I think it's going to take the build to the exponential level that it needs to go to get into Torment 4. And I also got these cool things I might look at, like Death Blow. I got the hammer for it. But one I really want to get here is Hellhammer for Upheaval. Hellhammer ignites the ground when we use Upheaval and also gives us a damage multiplier based on our current strength. And it also just straight up buffs Upheaval. So if I can get a greater affix version of this, I'm definitely equipping this. So yes, I am working on an endgame version of this build. And hopefully once I get that endgame build together, I could post it for you guys. But let's go over that build summary real quick. We got Upheaval, and we're going to the version of Upheaval. We're going Upheaval as our core ability. We got Frenzy as our basic attack. We got Wrath of the Berserker as our ultimate. We got Warcry, Rally Cry, and we got Ground Stomp. Now you might be asking yourself, what are the main aspects? If I had to list the top 3 main aspects, I definitely say the aspect of Earthquakes, the aspect of the Sundered Ground for Upheaval, and the aspect of Incendiary Fissures. All the other aspects I'll tag for you in this video, and you guys can go check it out there. And the same goes for all the passive skills and the Paragon board. And once again, you can go over to Mobalytics and check the build out there. I'll have everything posted in the description and in the comments for you. So that does it for my Barbarian build guide from levels 1 to 60. I hope you guys enjoyed. I always strive to improve, so please let me know down in the comments if there's anything I can do to improve. Well, that does it for me, guys. I'm your boy Jadiro. Sign out for now. Peace.